Hello YouTube friends. In today's video I want to talk about 5 ways to personalize your samples or sampled instruments. Let's dive into it. First tip to enhance your samples is using round robin. On drums, for example, you can round robin the samples so you can get like a more organic feel using like different variations. Or in this case, I sampled a 909, which is analog, and I have a lot of variations as well. So it's slightly different and you can spice up your patterns this way. Yeah, and this way, in this particular case, I've created like 8 different samples with slight variations, so you can have a very organic feel to it, and it plays it randomly. So for example, this is this. In this way you get a more organic feel. Same with the snare. You can vary with the volume or with the panning, as I do with the hi-hat. And the same principle I do with the rights. So by using round robins, you have like a more changing feel of the beat, and yeah, a more organic thing instead of like static using the same sample over and over again. And in the same way, you can do that with like an instrument which uses round robins. In this case, one of the sounds that I created, I'm using round robin for this. So every time I play a note, it chooses another sample which is slightly different. And in the end, you get a much more organic sound this way. So, for example, so it keeps on moving the sound. It's yeah, it's very alive. Yeah, same principle with this one. So every time it uses a different sample, which makes it more organic, in my opinion. Yeah, and in this particular instance, I mapped different samples to different velocity values. So this is the MIDI clip, and if I select all the notes, you see the velocity range which it picks randomly, and then it has like a different sample for that. I will press the keyboard now to showcase the different samples. So this is a very low velocity with a high resonance. The harder I hit the note, the more the filter is being opened. So that sounds like this with the random. So you have this changing filter characteristics of the sound, which makes it move a lot. And altogether, this sounds like this. yeah, in my opinion, that really livens up, is that a word? The sound. So it has a more organic feel to it. Tip number 2, filtering the sampled instruments or samples to your own liking. In my case, in this particular sound, I didn't use any filtering. So then it sounds like this, which can be pretty cool, but you can also incorporate your own MIDI envelope and your own filter of choice. In my case, I used the standard Ableton filter. And here you can see the filter envelope going, and I haven't activated it yet, but the auto filter you see here moving. And that sounds then like this. So in that case, you can use your own filtering for the sound. Yeah, then you can sound design the samples in your own manner. And if I use some extra effect after this, you get something like this. It's really different from the beginning, but yeah, so you can sculpt the samples to your liking. And without filter, it would sound like this. And without the effects. And with. So yeah, then you can use your sound designing skills to liven up the samples even further. Tip number 3 is about layering and layering sounds. I also always use this. Yeah, it's combining different samples into one, or combining or using the same MIDI clip for different sounds will create a more fat, full sound, and also, yeah, more your own sound, because you're probably the first one who combines these samples. So for example, if I have this MIDI clip, I use the same MIDI clip, put a sub bass underneath it. Oh yeah, removed all the higher notes. Octave higher, I use the pitch for that. And this one I use an octave higher and a fifth higher. Just a little bit of layering and the sound becomes way more distinct. And in a full bit it sounds a little bit like this. Tip number 4 is all about effects or processing the samples. You can create your own sound by having different effects change to sculpt everything you want. So on drums, for example, yeah, you can work with distortion and with a bit crusher, then you can really spice up and create the sound that you want. So these are the drums without effects. It's a little soft, but yeah, you get the idea. With distortion and with a bit crusher. But this already sounds way different than the standard samples that you can use. And on this one, I use some effect to create it more my style. So I added a little bit of edge with the bit crusher. And then one of my favorite plugins is the RC20 Retro. It's a tape simulator with wound flutter and stuff like that, and it sounds like this. This gives already a way better or different vibe. Not per se better, of course. And this one has a phaser, a bit crusher, and a reverb. Let me go a little faster with this one. Pretty standard sounds. Bit crusher, phaser. And the last one is probably bass. Yes, it's the bass. So we need some bit crushing to beef it up. And I have like a tape simulator on the end. Okay, I'm gonna turn off all the effects and then per channel slowly turn them on. And you can really hear the difference. Yeah, I think it really makes a difference. It's a little obvious tip, but here you go. Tip number 5. I already discussed it a little bit in the round robin tip, but in this case I use a lot of sample switching with velocity values. So, for example, what you see here is the MIDI clip has all low velocity values, but the velocity range going up. So it picks a random value and then it picks a random sample for these notes. Same here. This one is just a random one. And this is the bass probably. Yeah, so this doesn't use that. So that sounds a little bit like this. Let me show you. So you hear the sound constantly making or using different samples with different filter settings, so which is pretty cool, I think. And here you can hear it as well. The little resonance spike is there randomly, which is pretty cool. And altogether that would sound a little bit like this. This was it. I hope it inspires you to create your own unique sounds.
The sampled instruments I use in this video can be found in the description.
Oopsie. Okay, bye.